With the new year almost upon us, I thought it would be a fun time to talk about reading challenges that you can do starting in 2025. Now, while these challenges are great to do anytime, I think that it's becoming more and more important for us to dive into books and long form reading, especially with the way everybody wants immediate information and gratification from asking ChatGPT or searching on Google, and is leading to us not being able to explore and get into the details in books as much as we used to. This was an eye-opening fact that I learned about when I recently read the book The Shallows, and I think it's shocking how far we've come even since that book was published in terms of the immediate access of information and how our attention spans are starting to mean that we read less and less books. So I've got 4 challenges that I want you to think about and consider as we head into the new year and start 2025 off as a year for learning and reading more books. The first one is always be reading. I heard this recently on a conversation between Matt Diavella and Ryan Holiday, where Ryan was talking about some of his top tips, and the first one being always be reading. The idea here is before you set out to do anything new or to learn anything, start with books first in mind, because that long form information is one of the best ways that we can absorb and understand concepts as well as learn deeply about a topic. Books are always just a wealth of information and a way to experience the lessons learned from other people rather than just depend on your luck or coincidence on what you run into in your life. As Ryan said in this interview, you can live your one life or you can live many lives by reading books and absorbing that knowledge that other people who came before you have gained. Now, the second challenge is to use Goodreads and sign up for their annual reading challenge. This is a great way to motivate yourself to read more books and be a part of a reading community that is going to help you to, again, read more, but also get more out of the books that you read through that community engagement and just feeling like you are a part of that tribe of book lovers. One of my favorite things about Goodreads and keeping track of the books that I've read there are that first, you get this really nice infographic kind of image of all the books that you've read at the end of the year. And also, it's a really easy way to keep track of the books, whether you read on a Kindle or you're reading on a tablet or an iPad, or if you're reading physical books. It's a great way to just keep track of them all, especially if you read a lot and have trouble keeping track of all the books that you've read. Now, a word of warning, I stopped using the Goodreads reading challenge a few years ago as a way to really keep track of every single book at the start of the year because I got too competitive with it and I would want to read more and more books than the goal that I'd set for the year. I wasn't taking enough time to really absorb and understand the material in each book that I read before jumping into the next one. That's one of those rules that I talk about with effective reading on don't chain smoke the books that you've read. Instead, take the time to understand, make notes, process the information from one book before you jump into starting the other one and completely let all that new information fall out of your brain. But I also still use Goodreads and go back to it as a way to keep track of my library across different devices and also to share with people so that they know which books I've read if they're looking to get a gift for me during the holiday season especially, and they can see and make sure that it's not a book that I've already read. Now, the next challenge that I think is unique and is something that I'm looking forward to doing more of in the new year is to use ShortForm to explore books on a deeper level. ShortForm publishes comprehensive book guides and summaries each week, and I like using it particularly for the feature of the reading guides and the questions that you get about the books that you've read. So it's a really great way to go back and look at the exercises that it provides that allows you to reflect on what you've read and go a little bit deeper with understanding and making sure that you know how to translate what you've read into actual knowledge that you're going to store and use. To me, it's a really powerful way to look at those prompts and those exercises for each of the books that I'm reading, and then looking and comparing my understanding to what the summary of the book says from ShortForm and the people on their team that put together these comprehensive book guides. The other thing that I think is awesome is the discussion on each book summary, which is basically like a book club. So you can jump in and start a discussion on any of the books you've read. I use this more so as a way to link books that I've read fully to discussing them with a community of like-minded individuals rather than necessarily just discussing the book summary itself. It's kind of like having that book club where you don't have to read the same thing that everybody else is reading. You can just jump into the discussion on the books that have caught your attention the most. And if you want to learn more about ShortForm, I'll include the link in the description to the other video that I've talked about that goes into a more in-depth review about it. And if you also want to get 5 days of unlimited access, as well as an additional 20% off the annual subscription, you can use my special link that's down in the description for that as well. Now, speaking of book clubs, another challenge that you can do if you don't want to jump into one of the Goodreads book clubs or the discussions on ShortForm is to create your own book club. And I think that's a great challenge to have looking at in the new year, especially if you want some more accountability, and having people to read the same book at the same time is always a fun way to get more discussion and also understand different points of views on the things that you're reading. So if you're thinking about joining a book club or looking for a community to talk about books that you're interested in, leave a comment down below and maybe somebody else is looking to also start one up. Or if we get enough interest, I love always talking about book reviews, and we could think about doing a future series of videos on book reviews as well on this channel. And my next reading challenge for you is to read the 5 books of Stupid. This is the best way to quickly get up to speed and learn more on any topic. But in order to learn about this challenge, you're going to have to check it out and learn more in this video next.